Hello friends, today's story is about Cadbury. This story is not only about chocolate, but it is a story of taste, trust, family, emotion, festival, culture, advertising genius and crisis comeback. Cadbury taught the world that chocolate is not merely something to eat, it can become a way of sharing happiness as well. The story begins in the city of Birmingham, England. The year was 1824. A young entrepreneur named John Cadbury opened a small grocery shop on Bull Street. He sold tea, coffee, cocoa and drinking chocolate. At that time, cocoa and chocolate were considered luxury products. John Cadbury himself prepared cocoa using a mortar and pestle. His idea was simple: to provide people with a better, wholesome and enjoyable drink instead of alcohol. This is where Cadbury's startup idea was born. It was not a giant factory, it was a small shop where a founder was understanding a customer's lifestyle problem. During that period, many people consumed alcohol. John Cadbury observed that if cocoa and drinking chocolate were sold as a tasty and respectable alternative, it could create a market. In other words, Cadbury's beginning was not based on indulgence, but on a social purpose and a healthier beverage alternative. Gradually, demand started increasing. John Cadbury understood that the business would not become bigger through a shop alone. The product would have to be produced with consistent quality. Therefore, in 1831, he acquired a nearby warehouse and started manufacturing. Now, Cadbury was transforming from a shop into a manufacturing business. Then, in 1847, the company shifted to a larger factory. This was the moment when the idea started taking the form of a scale. But the beginning was not easy. John Cadbury became ill and in 1861 his sons Richard and George Cadbury took over the business. At that time the business was tough, profits were low, there was competition and cocoa processing was not easy. George looked after production and Richard handled sales. Both brothers did not give up. They focused on product quality, process improvement and customer trust. A major turning point in Cadbury's story came when the brothers invested in new technology for cocoa processing. This made it possible to produce a purer and better quality product from cocoa. Waste was reduced, taste improved and the company's image started becoming stronger. This is the major lesson for entrepreneurs. Sometimes to take a business forward, one has to take risk in technology. Then the Cadbury family created the Bournville factory and a worker welfare model. For them, business was not only about profit. They wanted workers to live in a good environment, lead a healthier life and work with dignity. This gave Cadbury the image of not merely a chocolate company but a value-driven company. Now let us come into Cadbury's Dairy Milk. In 1905, George Cadbury Jr. created a chocolate bar that contained higher amount of milk. Cadbury presented it with a creamy, smooth and rich taste. Initially, names such as Highland Milk and Dairy Maid were considered, but eventually the name Dairy Milk became successful. The name was simple, memorable and directly communicated the product benefit. Chocolate made from milk. Dairy milk quickly became popular. The idea of a grass and a half became the identity of the brand. It meant that chocolate contained plenty of milk. This was not merely an ingredient claim, it was a promise of trust and richness. Gradually, Cadbury Dairy Milk became Britain's favorite chocolate. But Cadbury's India story is different and very emotional. Cadbury entered India around 1948. It initially began by importing chocolates. At that time, chocolate was not an everyday snack in India. The meaning of sweet was laddu, barfi, peda, jalebi and rasgulla. Chocolate was mostly considered as a treat for children or an urban luxury. The biggest challenge before Cadbury was to teach Indian consumers the habit of chocolate. Here, Cadbury carried out market development. It gradually made the product accessible. Through small packs, local distribution, kirana stores, school children's, gifting and festivals, Cadbury started entering Indian life. But the real breakthrough came when Cadbury did not restrict chocolate only to children. It targeted adults as well. Earlier, people thought that chocolate was something for children. Cadbury said there is no age for happiness. This thinking later transformed into the kuch meetha ho jaye positioning. In India, the tradition of eating something sweet before an auspicious occasion already existed. Cadbury understood this cultural habit and positioned chocolate as an alternative to traditional sweets. Now, chocolate was no longer limited to birthdays. After passing an exam, getting a promotion, relationship being formed on Diwali, on Rakhi, on a small moment of happiness, Cadbury could be present everywhere. Cadbury's first major success strategy was transforming Indian culture into a brand language. The company did not sell chocolate like Western snacks. It made it a part of Indian celebration. Kuch meetha ho jaye did not remain merely a tagline. It became the language of everyday happiness. Whenever some good news arrived, people started saying, "Let us have something sweet." The second success strategy was emotional branding. Cadbury's advertisements sold feeling more than just product benefits. Sometimes a girl dances happily on a cricket field. Sometimes a line like "Pappu pass ho gaya" remains memorable to people, and sometimes Cadbury celebrations is shown during Diwali gifting. These advertisements connected chocolate with the heart. Cadbury understood that in FMCG, taste is important, but memory is even more important. The third success strategy was portfolio expansion. Along with Cadbury Dairy Milk, the company captured different segments through brands like 5 Star, Perks, Gems, Bonbile, Silk, Celebrations, Eclairs, Bonvita and later Oreo. Gems for children, Perk and 5 Star for young, Silk and Bonbile for premium indulgence, Celebrations for festivals and Bonvita for energy drink space. In this way, Cadbury created multiple entry points on the chocolate shelf. But struggles also came in the Cadbury journey. The biggest crisis in India came around 2003 when reports emerged of worms being found in some dairy milk bars. This was a very serious issue for a food brand. Chocolate is sold on trust. If a consumer develops doubt about safety, even taste cannot save the product. There was negative media coverage, sales were affected during the festive season, and the brand image suffered a major setback. Instead of running away from the crisis, Cadbury worked on packaging, quality communication, and retailer education. Through initiatives such as Product Vishwas, the company tried to assure retailers and consumers and rebuild their confidence. Packaging was improved, greater attention was given to storage and distribution, and a highly trusted celebrity such as Amitabh Bachchan was brought into brand communication. Gradually, consumer confidence returned. This comeback is one of the Cadbury's most important business lessons. During a crisis, action is needed, not silence. Competitor activities also continued to increase. Nestle targeted the youth and snacks market with KitKat, Munch, Milky Bar and other products. Ferrero attracted the premium and kids segment with Ferrero Rocher and Kinder Joy. Mars competed with global brands such as Snickers, Mars and Galaxy. Amul created its position with Indian brand trust, affordable chocolates and dark chocolate options. Local D2C chocolates brand are also attracting urban consumers with bean to bar, premium cocoa, healthy ingredients and artisan positioning. Cadbury responded to these through product innovation and emotional relevance. Silk offered premium indulgence, the Oreo partnership and cross-category snacking attracted the new generation. Celebrations strengthened the gifting market. Dairy Milk created different price points from small packs to premium formats. In other words, Cadbury did not merely sell chocolates. It combined occasions, emotions and affordability. Now, today Cadbury is part of Mondelez International. Mondelez International reported approximately $38.5 billion in net revenue in FY 2025. In India, Mondelez India Foods, which owned brands such as Cadbury Dairy Milk, 5-Star, Oreo and GenZ, reported approximately 12,500 crore rupees in revenue from operations in financial year 2025. In the Indian chocolate market, Mondelez India, that is Cadbury, is the leading player and Nestle is a strong competitor. Today, with Ferrero and Mars, these multinational companies control a large share of the Indian retail chocolate market. Now, we will learn the top 3 learnings for entrepreneurs. The first learning is even a small shop can become a global brand. John Cadbury started from a small grocery shop. He identified customer need, focused on product quality and gradually moved into manufacturing. An entrepreneur should not be afraid of starting small. The third learning is understanding the culture. Only then will the brand become local. Cadbury did not sell chocolate in India like a foreign product. It captured the Indian emotion of something sweet. If a brand speaks the local language, the customer considers it their own. The third learning is in a crisis, trust has to be rebuilt. The 2003 crisis could have weakened Cadbury, but the company made a comeback through packaging, communication and credibility. An entrepreneur should remember that trust does not return by hiding a mistake. It returns through transparent actions. Cadbury's story also tells us that meaning is more important than the product itself. Many companies make chocolates, but Cadbury transformed chocolate into a symbol of happiness, celebration, gifting and nostalgia. This is the real strength of the brand. Today, when a child becomes happy after seeing GenZ, a student distributes dairy milk after passing an examination, a brother gives celebration on Rakhi, a couple shares silk or a family takes a Cadbury gift pack on Diwali, Cadbury is no longer merely chocolate. It becomes a part of the moment. If this entire story has to be understood in one line, Cadbury teaches us taste creates the product, but emotion creates the brand. Friends, this is the story of Cadbury, a story that began with a small cocoa shop in Birmingham, became famous around the world through dairy milk, entered the hearts of Indians through Kuch Meetha Ho Jaye, went through a crisis, made a comeback and even today remains the language of celebrations. If you like this case study, please like the video, subscribe to channel and tell us in the comment which is your favorite Cadbury product. Dairy Milk, 5-Star, GenZ, Silk, Bonbile, Celebrations or Oreo. Thank you.